Alrighty. So, as always, if you have a question, please let me know. I am here to help you. So, if you don't understand something, you don't understand it, you need to ask me, and I will help you in any way I can. All right? There are absolutely no stupid questions because if you are confused on something, there's a reason. So, as soon as something in your mind is like, I don't get it, no entendí, you should ask me. Okay? There is absolutely no judgment on my part. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started here. Number one, which of the following best defines opportunity cost? What are we thinking on this one? Yep, we're thinking C, right? Because every time that I read opportunity cost, I think about what am I giving up. And usually when I think about what I'm giving up, that's usually the answer because there it is right there. Now remember, it's also the value of the next best alternative. So we got to be careful there as well. Number two. On number two, what are we thinking? Yep, we're thinking E, right? Because if it's concave, looks like this, and that is an increasing opportunity cost. Okay, constant would look like this. This would be constant. Okay. Number three. Yes, Solly. Good job. So assume that consumers consider popcorn and pretzels to be substitutes. A significant decrease in the supply of popcorn will affect the pretzel market in which of the following ways. So, right. So if there is a decrease in the supply of popcorn, what happened to that? Okay, as soon as you see supply down, you're thinking that price goes up. So popcorn is more expensive. If popcorn is more expensive, you buy less popcorn. If you're buying less popcorn, what happened to pretzels? Demand goes up. Okay, B. Very nice. Number four. Number four. In the market depicted in the diagram above, if the government imposes a price ceiling of $1, which of the following will result? Okay, remember a price ceiling is a maximum price. So the price is $1. So that, what's 12? 12 is your quantity demand, and then 6 is your quantity supplied. You can read mine, Solomon. So therefore, you're demanding more than your supply. So therefore, it's a shortage of 6. And good job on the math there, Solomon. Number 5. Assume that Clark spends his entire income on the purchase of two goods, X and Y. His income and the price of good X and Y all double. So Clark will, if you are confused about this one, think about it, right? You double your income and then the prices also double. So basically, did anything change? No. You buy the same amount of goods. Okay. Number 6, suppose that a firm begins to hire workers for a newly completed plant with a fixed amount of machinery. As the firm hires additional workers, one would expect the marginal product to what? Anytime we think about the marginal, right? What does the marginal cost look like? The Nike Swish, right? All right, now here's the deal. What happens to the marginal cost? It goes down and then it goes up, right? So remember that marginal product is the opposite of marginal cost. Okay? Explain why they're opposite. or explain why it's Nike Swish. Okay, so here's why it's a Nike Swish. So it's a Nike Swish because of the marginal product. The marginal product means you had one person working and they're doing everything, right? Remember the hot dog stand? We had one person who was making hot dogs, doing the register, cleaning up, right? Okay, then we had two people. So now we have one person doing the hot dogs, one person doing the register. So the marginal product, because you have two people, increases because you are more productive with two people. So that would be the marginal product is going up. Okay, and if you are more productive, your cost is going down. So that would be this first part here, where your marginal cost is going down because your marginal product is going up. You're being more productive as you hire more people. But what do we know about hiring too many people? Once you hire too many people, right?
Marginal product rise down.
Down, right? Because you're starting to get people that are working like this. There's too many people in the kitchen, all right? And you can't work like that. The marginal product has to decrease. And if the marginal product is decreasing, we now have an increase in the marginal cost. So what does that mean for the marginal product? It means that it goes up and then it goes down. So it will rise initially and eventually fall. Who is confused on that one? That is the basic idea behind hold on. Let me get my brain right. That's the basic idea behind marginal product and marginal cost. Margin utility, a similar idea. Yep, the whole increase decrease. Yep, increasing at a decreasing rate. Let me see here. Okay, good question, Deny. So thank you for that. Where are you? Huh. Okay. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to send the code out to the group. There we go. Cool. Here we go. Number 7. In the short run, which of the following costs must continually decrease as output is increased? And that has to be D. Why is that? You could look at the graph, right? Right? And what does the average fixed cost look like? The average fixed cost looks like this. It's a downward sloping line. If your question is still why, let me give you this option, okay? Total fixed cost, right? What's an example of a total fixed cost? There he is. Rent. Rent is an example of a fixed cost, right? Because why? It does not change, right? So let's say the rent is 500, and remember, it does not change as you make more output. Okay? So Deny. If I made, let's say, 50 t-shirts, can you tell me my average fixed cost? And if your question is what is average fixed cost, how do you find average? Total divided by quantity. Thank you, Solly. So therefore, my average fixed cost would be 10. Okay? Now, what if my quantity were 100? What's my new average fixed cost? 5. All right, so what are we seeing here? We're seeing that as you make more output, what happened to the average fixed cost? It decreased.
Decreases.
So D. Deny, does that make sense? Yes. Right? Because here's the deal. Here's the marginal cost. Here's the, that's not correct. Here's the average variable cost. And here's the average total cost. The only one that is always decreasing is the average fixed cost. The other ones, because of the marginal cost, right? It's a variable cost, so as you hire more, your marginal cost is changing, and so because the fixed cost doesn't change, then as you make more, your the average fixed cost has to decrease. But because your variable could change, we're going to have a change in the cost as you make more quantity. So it's actually going to be more expensive to hire more people because of the marginal product. Ezra, yes. Then if that makes sense, let me know. There we go. As you increase output, Ezra, it depends. It depends on where you are, right? If you're here, right? If you're on this side and you make more output, right? Then your average total cost is going down. But then if you increase output again, your average total cost increases. So it depends. It depends on whatever side you are. It depends whether your marginal cost is greater than or less than your average total cost. Yes, Alberto, thank you. Yep. If it can go the other way. All right. If you made less output, then your average fixed cost would be higher. Good job. It depends on whether your marginal cost is greater than or less than your average total cost. It depends. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. If it's less, draw the picture, and you can see how if you increased output, then you can see how what happens. More output, less average fixed cost. Number 9. Ezra, yeah, look, we don't have the time to do that, and it might come up later. Okay. Okay. Let's look at number 8.
What did you do? I
Nothing.
lost connection.
Nothing. We're on number
On
8.
which question you are? 8.
8. So, 8. If you're producing 10 units of output, its economic profits will equal what? Okay. So, what do we need? Okay, we need MR equals MC. That equals 10. Now, what do we need to know for profits? We need price minus ATC times quantity. That's correct. So your profits are price minus ATC times your quantity. So let's go through this. What's your price? How do we find price again? We go up to the demand curve. Very, very, very important that you understand that. Okay. So price equals 20. ATC? Is 15. All right. And then my quantity is 10. So that would be 20 minus 15 times 10. And if you did on the math on that, that would be 50. 5 times 10. Very nice. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Did you know how to find price? Well, if you did cost minus price, then that would be a negative number, and you're not making negative profits. And the reason you're not making negative profits is because you're selling.
Price bigger than ATC.
Exactly. You're making more revenue than your cost. Your cost is 10. Profit is price minus ATC. You're getting the numbers right. Oh, your cost is not 10. It's 15. No. Your cost is your average total cost. Look at the formula. Price minus average total cost. Okay, how do we find ATC? We go from quantity straight up. We go from here, price. How do we find price? We went up to the demand curve. How do we find ATC? We got to go from quantity up to the ATC curve, and that happens at 15. How about now? Are you stuck on the numbers or the formula? Okay, why are you stuck on the formula? Because that's what it is. That's what profits is price minus ATC times quantity. So what's the issue, Ezra? Are you saying okay, or you just don't understand it? You sure? Okay. All right. Which of the following will most likely to occur if firm increases production beyond 10 units? So here we go. If they produce beyond 10 units, let's go through the answer choices, okay? Consumers would be willing to purchase more than 10 units at a price of 20. Is that true? If we increase quantity, right, the demand, right, is downward sloping, so we would decrease price. See, okay, see, Ezra, right there. Like, if you have a question, just let me know. It's okay, right? So the reason it's not the same as price is because look at the curve here, right? ATC is decreasing at that point. So when we find quantity, you go straight up. Basically, when you're producing 10 units, 10 quantity, this is your ATC, which is 15. Let's see here. The firm would definitely experience a loss. Would they definitely experience a loss? No, right? Because look right here, right? They could be having a profit. Would they would have to lower price to sell more? Yep, there it is. They would have to lower price to sell more. So, number 10. Which of the following statements about constant cost, perfectly competitive industry in long run equilibrium must be true? Show you why what? On number 9? Okay, how can you sell more stuff? At a higher price or a lower price? It is, right? But look at the demand curve. Your demand for a monopoly is downward sloping. So if you wanted to sell more stuff, you have to lower your price. All right. Oh wait, Denai, were you talking about 10 or 9? Okay, here we go. Okay. So, oh, okay. So if you don't remember this, a constant cost industry means that your cost stays the same. Okay? All right, here we go. So, if your cost stays the same, that doesn't change the cost, right? So, what is long run equilibrium? Price equals ATC, right? So let me ask you, in a constant cost industry, does your ATC change? Does your price change? An increase in demand will cause no change in the long run equilibrium price. Okay. If you are also looking for another explanation, Yes, Ezra. Yep. If you're looking for another explanation, which I'm sure someone does, here's what we're saying. We have supply and demand, okay? There's an increase in the demand, all right? Now, because demand goes up, price goes up, more profits, quantity. How can we make more quantity? There's profits. What happens next? Firms enter. Thank you, Solly. Because firms enter, supply. Well, why does price decrease? Supply to the right. Thank you. Now, here's the deal. If it's a constant cost, that would mean that it looks like this, okay? So your supply would increase to this point, okay? If your equilibriums are the same, like here and here at this price, this is constant cost. If you increase supply and it goes up, does anybody want to take a guess at this one? So if supply goes up like that, this is the long run supply. So this would be increasing cost. Okay? So if it's constant cost, your price stays the same. Okay? This is not economies of scale. Long run equilibrium is because your profits are equal to zero, like that's what your long run is. Yes, constant cost, yes. It's a rule. Sí, siempre. You want me to say it in Spanish? Okay. The total cost remains the same. Oh, no, right? Because basically, remember your ATC looks like this, right? So your average total cost is going to be different. Well, because in the long run, your price is equal to ATC. And since you're in a constant cost, because you make more quantity, your cost stays, your ATC stays the same. All right, does that make sense? Now, obviously, with total cost, right? The more stuff you make, the cost has to go up. But in the terms of a constant cost industry, your average total cost stays the same. So basically, that's what we're doing. So constant cost means average total cost.
Mati, can you do it on the question, not in the chat, to take a picture?
CCC. Okay, all right, hold on. Let me see here. What am I doing? Constant cost means the average total cost stays the same. Okay, now your total cost obviously will change because more output, more cost. But the constant cost says that your average will stay the same. Okay. Yes. Siempre. I'll say it again. All right, number 11. 11 is A, right? Mutual interdependence. As soon as you see that word, you're thinking oligopoly. Okay. Number 12. Assume that a profit maximizing firm is a perfectly competitive in both the output and the factor markets and is in long run equilibrium. The firm's output is 100, total revenue is 600. All right, let's do it together then. Based off of this information, what is true? So we're looking at the answers, right? And we see right off the bat here, the marginal cost is 5.5. So let's figure out if that's true, okay? So it's perfect competition. What does that mean? Anybody got it? As soon as you read perfect competition, you should be reading perfectly elastic. What would that mean? Perfectly elastic would mean price. Yep, price equals your marginal revenue, right? And now they are profit maximizing, which would mean marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Good job, Ezra. So let's figure out your price. What's the next thing they told you? The next thing they told you was it was long run equilibrium, right? So therefore price is equal to ATC, okay? They then told you output was 100 and your total revenue was 600 and your total fixed cost was 50. Okay. Now we don't know the ATC, right? But could we find price here? How could we find price? It's the same as, no. It's the same as marginal revenue. Right, because Mr. Darp says your price is also your average revenue, and your average revenue is your total divided by your quantity. So what's your average revenue equal to? Six. Okay, that's your average revenue is 6. So what's your price equal to? Right here. Whoa. Yep. AR is your average revenue. Okay. So what is your price equal to? 6. All right. Does anybody want to take a guess at what your marginal cost equals? 6. Right here. Your AR is equal to your price, which is also equal to your marginal cost. So therefore, it's not A, it's not B. Okay. Now, is your average total cost 5.5? Well, let's figure that out. Okay. What is your average total cost equal to? The answer is right in front of you. 6. If you're wondering, whoa, how'd you do that? Price equals ATC. And if your price equals 6, your average total cost equals 6. See? It's not 5.5. That's what we did. Because you did the average revenue and your price is equal to your average revenue. It's not, and re-explain what? How we found price? Oh, well, you're in long run equilibrium, and long run equilibrium says price equals ATC. So if you know that you're, there we go. Ezra, what did you do? When you're doing that, right, you're doing price times quantity, which gives you total revenue. And so that's how you could find price, is finding the average revenue. Like, you're doing the formula without realizing you're doing the formula, which is great. Okay, so Ezra, the way you're doing it is correct. Keep doing that. Okay, so if your average total cost is 6, right, we need to find the average variable cost or the average fixed cost. Is your average fixed cost 5.5? We can find the average fixed cost by doing the total fixed cost, which is 50 divided by quantity, which is 100. So my average fixed cost is equal to 0.5. So the answer is not D. The answer has to be E. Your average fixed cost is your total fixed cost divided by quantity. So your average fixed cost is 0.5. So therefore, our average variable cost would be 5.5. Thank you, Francisco. Yes, Alberto, average is always total divided by quantity. So if you're finding, you know what, you got it. Good job. They told you in the question why total fixed cost is 50. A, revenue is average revenue. Or are you talking about total revenue, Ezra? Okay, well, what's your question? Average revenue. Okay, hold on. Maybe I'm just not. It's total divided by quantity. Okay. 13. Businesses employ workers from city, neighborhoods, and rural areas. These workers are perfect substitutes and cannot relocate in the short run. The government offers businesses a wage subsidy if they hire workers from city neighborhoods. What is the effect of the subsidy on the wage rate for rural workers and the total hours they work? They cannot move, meaning that if you live in the city, you can't move to the rural area. If you live in the rural area, you cannot move to the city. All right? So, the government offers a subsidy if you hire workers from the city. So, what does this change for the rural workers? Do you hire workers from the rural area? No, your demand for the rural area goes down. And if demand goes down, wage goes down, quantity goes down. D. Okay? Your demand for the city worker goes up. Okay? Because you're demanding more from the city because of the subsidy, right? You do not hire workers from the rural area. So your demand for the rural worker goes down. Okay? 14. A per unit tax on pollution produced by a firm will affect the firm's output and pollution levels in the following ways. Yes, right? Because what does a tax do? A tax will decrease supply, and if we have a decrease in supply, price goes up, quantity goes down. So output is going to go down. Now, if you make less stuff, you're making less pollution. So D. 15. Which of the following will most likely lead to a more equal distribution of income? Well, that would have to be B. More progressive income taxes. More income, more taxes. Assume Italy and Greece produce only two goods, wine and olive oil. If Italy holds a comparative advantage in wine, which of the following is not true? It's gonna be A. Yes. Here's the deal. If Italy has the comparative advantage in wine, Greece has the comparative advantage in olive oil. Okay, remember, you can only have a comparative advantage in one thing. So therefore, olive oil is Greece, wine is Italy. The opportunity cost of producing one more wine is lower than Greece. That's exactly what the comparative advantage says. The same thing for D. That's why you have the comparative advantage. All right, and then if trade is open, we have an incentive to trade. Yes. It is not B because if Italy has it in wine, Greece has to have the comparative advantage in olive oil. Incentive means like you want to trade, like you would have benefits if you did. Yep. 17. Following a prolonged power outage, the price of flashlights normally increases significantly. If cities have passed laws prohibiting price increases for flashlights during power outages, such laws would most likely what? Right, they would create a shortage, right? Because what did you do? You created a price ceiling. A price ceiling would create a shortage. So B. 18. All right. What is the price paid by consumers and the price received by producers after the tax? 13. Maite, you say 13? 13. I'm sorry, Solomon. Sorry, I read the previous question. Okay. Okay. All right. So what is the what is the price paid by consumers after the tax? Thank you, Maite. Okay, 10 is your equilibrium, right? But we're trying to do after the tax. So go after the tax. What do the consumers pay? The consumers pay 10.45. Yes. Now, they buy this quantity, right? So what do the producers receive? Okay, look here, right? They buy this quantity, right? So at this quantity here, what do the supply do? The supply will do 9.45. You have to make sure that you're doing quantity. And once you know the quantity, you can now go to what the supply does. All right. If you're struggling with this graph, please check out the lecture slides on, I think it's supply analysis, welfare economics, or something like that. All right. So basically, the idea here is that when you have a supply with a tax, this is your equilibrium. Okay. And now you pay this, right? And it's not 10 because it's with a tax. Please pay attention here. You're doing it with a tax. This does not exist for the consumer. Only this one because of the tax. All right? This is without a tax. But we have it with a tax. Okay, well look at it. At a price of 10, where are you? You are there, right? Or you're here, right? But you're buying this quantity. So the only place you have that quantity is there. So that's your producer price is 9.45. Because you're buying that quantity. That's why it's 9.45. You have, okay, all right, here we go. From the top, okay? Because we're doing with the tax, you have to do supply with the tax equals demand. Okay? And that equals the green dot. Okay? You pay as a consumer 1045. You're buying Q1, this quantity. That's how much you're buying. If you buy Q1, how much does supply have? Well, that would be, you go up to the supply curve, and that would be 945. Okay, that's what's going on there. So what is the dollar amount of the tax? D, right? Because once you know the consumers pay 1045 and the producers receive 945, how much does the government get? $1. Okay. Who receives 945? Producers. Okay. So if the consumer pays 1045 and the producer gets 945, that's an extra dollar. Who does the dollar go to? Tax. Okay, Ezra, we have a tax. It says it right there in the question, right? With the tax. So you have to do with the tax. Yes, Alberto. It because you're doing supply with the tax, right? You don't look at this line if you're doing the supply with the tax, okay? Because that happens right here. All right? Like don't look here. That's not what's happening. You're doing the supply with the tax and demand. And that happens at the green dot. Don't get confused with that point there. Now it's 945 because at that quantity, right, your supply, now it does exist. Your supply says, okay, if you're doing this quantity, I'll charge you 945. So that's how we get 945. There we go. Number 20. According to the law of diminishing marginal utility, which of the following is true? B, right? Anytime its additional satisfaction received is decreasing, right? Then that's B. Okay. 21. Within the range of market demand, which of the following is consistent with the conditions of a natural monopoly? C. Very good. Okay. Natural monopolies have a economies of scale. Natural monopolies have economies of scale. Yep. And because they have economies of scale, the long run average cost will be decreasing. Okay. 22. A farmer grows wheat using 2 inputs, labor and land, whose prices.
Can you explain it a little bit more?
Yeah.
21.
Okay. All right. Here's the deal. It's the same graph as a monopoly. Like that is the exact same. Okay. Now the only difference between a monopoly and a natural monopoly is that a natural monopoly, you naturally only need one, right? For example, you only need one electrical company. You don't need 5 electrical companies putting power into your house. You only need one. So naturally, you only need one. So that is a natural monopoly. All right. Now think about how expensive it would be to have power to each house. High fixed cost, right? Really high fixed cost. So, right? What do we know about fixed cost? The more you make, the quantity, the more you make, the the average is going down, all right? And so that's what's happening with the long run average total cost is decreasing as you make more output. So that's a natural monopoly. Everything else about a monopoly still happens, right? So profit max, MR equals MC. All right, 22. A farmer uses land and labor whose prices are constant. If she doubles her inputs and she finds that the quantity more than doubles, what happened there? The long run total cost curve must be, right? So think about it, right? You bought labor, right? And then you made more quantity. And if you're more productive, what happened to your cost? Cost goes down. More than doubles, basically this. Let's say you had one person and you made let's say you had one person, one labor, and you made 50. Okay, and then you double your labor. Okay, and now you make 200. All right, so if you doubled your labor, right, and you doubled your output, that would be 100. But if it's more than double, you are more productive, so your cost would go down. ATC is U-shaped. Okay, ATC is U-shaped. All right, but here's the deal. She was here, and now because she's more productive and her cost is going down, right? That's economies of scale. So the U shape still happens here, but right now it's downward sloping. Alrighty. 23. I just did. I just did. Okay. A constant cost, perfectly competitive gadget industry is in long run equilibrium. An increase in the number of consumers and of gadgets will most likely result in. Don't make this too complicated. Make it simple. What happened? Okay, we have an increase in the number of consumers, more demand. More demand, higher price, higher quantity. Okay, that's exactly what's going on here. 24. The profit maximizing firm depicted in the graph above should what? See. It's okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead. All right. What's your question? All it is just you're having more consumers. That's it. More consumers, more demand. If your demand is higher, your price is up, your quantity goes up. Now, your question about the long run, okay? Right? Look at the answer. Short run. And if you're wondering what about, like, how does that happen? Here we go. More demand, price up, quantity up, right? Now, the next thing that's going to happen, because profits go up, is that supply goes up, and then we're in our constant cost, okay? In the long run. But right now, the short run increased. Okay? There we go. And long run, always, always, always. All right? I'm going to say it in Spanish for Ezra because he only understands siempre. All right? Siempre. Price equals ATC in the long run. Okay?
Tattoo.
Okay. Yeah, right? That's another tattoo. So MR equals MC here. Okay? And then we'll do price equals ATC here. All right? Yes, it doesn't change, right? And because look here, in the long run, it doesn't change. You see how that works here? Because of the increase in supply. But because it's the short run, we will have an increase in the price. Don't make this one too complicated. All that happened was a change in consumers, which is a change in demand. Ezra, yes, that's what I'm saying. Your long run constant. Yes. And that's exactly what happened. Alberto, you said it correctly, right? There's more consumers, right? And so if there's more consumers, there's more demand. That's it. Constant means it doesn't change. It doesn't matter. The long run price doesn't change. The short run price will increase because of demand. The long run price will not change because it's a constant cost. Okay. 24. The profit maximizing firm depicted in the graph above should what? What should they do? Yes, A. AAA, right? Now, if you're wondering, well, the shutdown point is price and AVC. That is true. But if you never make profits in the long run, you're just not going to work. You should exit. Okay. The whole point of this is the long run. Okay. You need to be looking in the long run. No, because here's the deal. They're trying to profit maximize. And where does profit maximize happen at? MR equals MC. So you should not do that if you're trying to profit maximize. Now it's AVC in the short run. But the whole thing is in the long run. Like if you always make losses, even in the long run, okay, are you ready, Ezra? If you always make losses, even in the long run, right? Should you exit? Yeah. The whole point of this is the long run. You never make profits, you should exit. If your conditions do not improve in the long run, you should exit. You are doing losses, okay? If it doesn't get better in the long run, you should exit.
But Matthew, in the long run, it's always price equals ATC.
Always, well, let's see here. Well, okay, all right. If it does do that, right? Did conditions improve? Yes. But if
Yes.
conditions do not improve, you should shut down.
Oh, yes.
There we go, right? Okay.
That's
No
see.
one said you're not doing losses. You are doing losses.
ATC is bigger than price.
Thank
so
you, Solomon. Right? This is your losses. Ah, there we go. Now we're reading the graph. Okay. Now, number 25. If your average... Yeah, no problem. If your average variable cost of producing 5 units is 100, and the average variable cost of producing 6 units is 150, then the marginal cost is increasing output from 5 to 6. Oh, what's marginal cost again? Marginal cost. So you are correct, Alberto. It's the change in the cost here, right? But marginal cost, if you got the formula, right, is the change in the total cost divided by the change in the quantity, or it's a change in the total variable cost divided by the change in quantity. Okay, so how much does your total variable cost change? Okay, what change? What is the 50? Like, how are you doing the 50? You're doing the 50 because you're doing AVC minus AVC, right? Is that your change in total variable? No, right? Okay, so when you produce 5 units, what's your total variable cost? 500. When you're doing 6 units, what's your total variable cost? Okay, your average variable cost is 100 when you do 5 units. Okay, So if your average variable cost is 100 and your quantity is 5, what's your total variable cost? Exactly. Okay. Now do the same thing for the next one. No, because you're doing the change in the average. We're not doing the change in the average. Okay, you're jumping too far ahead, Ezra. Right? Because what's the total variable cost there? It would be 900. So here's the deal. When we were making 5 units, our total variable cost was 500. And when we're making 6 units, our total variable cost is 900. So what's my marginal cost? 400. Okay? So what we had to do to find the marginal cost is to know the change in the total variable cost. We needed to find the change in the total variable cost. When you're making 5 units, okay, your total variable cost is 500. Okay? Okay, Alberto, are you ready?
But Matthew, how should I know that I need to do that? It doesn't say in
Yes, it does, right? Because look, it says right here.
the question to do what you do.
Okay, it goes back to what's the question? Marginal cost. How do we find marginal cost? Well, we need to know the change in the cost. All right? And you're doing it correctly, right? You're finding the change in the cost. However, you're finding the change in the average. That is not the formula. The change in cost is the change in your total cost or the change in your total variable cost. So since you have your average, you need to find your total, right? Once you have your total, you can find the marginal. Always. So if your average variable cost is 100, right, and you have 5 units, your total would be 500. Now, if your average variable cost is 150 and we don't know our total, but we know our quantity is 6, that would mean that our total variable cost is 150 times 6. So our total variable cost is 900. All right, so now when you're doing 5 units, your total variable cost is, oh no, shoot. Oh, no, 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 no. Yep. Mr. Meeting. Okay, alrighty. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Okay. Alrighty.
Matthew,
See.
send the link on a chat item.
Yeah. I'm working on it. On the WhatsApp? Or what are you talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Thank you. Okay. Here we go. All right. So that was the change in the cost there. Okay, we had to find the total. Once we find the total, we can find the margin. Okay, so 400. All right. I'm really glad that most of y'all are understanding how we got there. Okay. Alrighty. Here we go. Number 26. Okay.
Wait, Matthew.
See.
It went out in the middle of the explanation.
Yeah. So once you know the total, right? Once you know the total, you can
But
find the
why
margin.
what's 150? What's that?
It's the average variable cost. And you're like, oh, where would we get that? Right there.
Average cost plus incidence 150. Okay, so what's the formula? It's ABC divided by total variable cost divided by quantity.
Yeah.
And why are we using 6 and not 5?
Because when your average variable cost of producing 6 units is 150.
Okay, and then when you got 6 times 150, what happens?
That's your total. Once you have your total, you can find the margin.
And how you knew that your total variable cost is 500?
Okay, we do the same thing, but now your average variable cost is 100 and your quantity is 5.
So every time it asks me for the MC, for the marginal cost, I need to do the change in total variable cost.
Siempre.
Change in total variable cost. Okay, thank you.
Or the change in total cost. They're the exact
And
same.
let me see, can I see the formula for total variable cost, please?
Oh, okay. All right. So look, here's the deal. If you're trying to find total variable cost, I'm just going to write it out for you. It's the average
Okay.
times the quantity. All right, I'm just going to write that out.
Okay.
Alberto, that's
I was
fantastic. All those steps you wrote out, that's exactly what's going on. Thank you. All right. Okay. 26. Ezra, go ahead.
No, that's good.
How many workers would the coal company, want to hire if the price of coal were competitive at a price of $5 per ton and the wage were 40? Here we go. Right? How many workers do you hire? You want to hire until your marginal revenue product is equal to your MFC. How much is your MFC here? $40. What's your MRP? What's the formula again?
Marginal revenue times marginal product.
All right. So he's correct. So how do we know? So how do we do that? Well, did they give us our marginal revenue? The answer is yes. What is it?
Price.
There it is. So 5. Did they give us our marginal product?
You do it.
There we go.
25, 19, 16, 10, and 5.
Okay, so now we need the MRP, right? So let's do the MRP real quick. Alrighty, so to find the MRP, all you're doing is the marginal revenue times the marginal product. So we will do 125. If you don't know where I'm getting these numbers, just use your calculator. It's marginal revenue times marginal product. And actually, I need to use the calculator too because I don't know some of these. 19 times 19 times 5 is 95. 16 times 5 is 80. That's 50, and that's 25. Okay? So, how many workers do you hire? Okay? All right, it could be a little messy, but here we go. So, that's 1 worker, that's 2 workers, that's 3 workers, that's 4 workers, and then 5. Okay? Yeah, you shouldn't do that tonight. It's marginal product times the marginal revenue. So basically, you want to hire until it's equal or your marginal revenue cost is greater than your marginal factor cost. So therefore, 4. Because 50 is greater than 40. And we don't hire the 5th one because 25 is less than 40.
Matthew, I did another thing.
Okay, you probably shouldn't have, but go ahead.
Look. If I divide the number of workers by that, it's 4, and it says that it's 40 per day. So it's if I will hire 4 workers, I'm doing 10 each worker. Okay. And 70, 60 and 70, the marginal revenue, it's 10 there. So 10 equals 10. Marginal revenue equals marginal cost.
No. Because your marginal cost is hiring labor. That's your $40. We got the MP because that's the marginal product. All it is the change in the product. MRP is your marginal revenue times your marginal product. All you're doing is the marginal revenue, which is 5, times the marginal product. Okay, Ezra, it's very important that you follow the steps that I gave you here, because
So
the way
what
you
should I
did.
do first? What should I do first?
All
First,
right.
find what?
Okay, all right. Are you completely ready?
Yes, completely.
You're doing MRP equals MFC. Okay, MRP is marginal revenue times marginal product. Okay, and
Yes.
MFC is your change in the cost when you hire somebody, which is $40.
40. It doesn't change.
It does in this question. There's nothing here that says it changes. So 40.
Okay.
Now we do margin revenue. Margin revenue times marginal product. You find the marginal
Matthew,
product. Yes.
where does it say that is perfect competition that marginal revenue equals price?
Okay. Does it say anything to change your mind?
No.
There we go.
But how should I know that is perfect competition?
You give what they gave you. That's my suggestion.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do margin revenue times the marginal product. All right. And then that gives us the MRP. And then we're going to figure out wherever our marginal revenue product is greater than our MFC. And then that's how many people we hire. So that would be 4. We don't hire the 5th one because your cost is higher than the revenue. Okay. Alberto, go ahead. Because your marginal revenue product is 50 and your marginal factor cost is 40. So basically he makes you more money than it cost you. 50, 40. You hire him. You don't do the 5th one because his marginal revenue product is 25 and he costs you 40. So the cost is more than your revenue. So you don't hire him. You hire 4 workers. Number 27, what is the marginal physical product of the second worker? Okay, don't make this complicated. All right, it's A. It's 19. Okay, when you hire the second worker, your marginal product is 19. 28, instead of being employed at a printing company at a salary of $25,000 per year, Sally starts her own printing firm. Rather than renting a building that she owns to somebody else for $10,000 per year, she uses it as a location for her company. Ezra, look at the marginal product column we made. When you hired the second worker, what's the marginal product there? It's 19. Her cost for the workers is 125. If the total revenue from the firm is 155, her total economic profit is what? Remember, total economic profit is the total revenue minus the total explicit cost minus the total implicit cost. So what was her revenue? 155. Her total explicit cost, right, is 125. And then how much is she giving up? Okay, now think about it. She gives up her salary at the place, and she could be renting her building to somebody else for $10,000. So she is not earning $10,000. So she is giving up $10,000. So that would be a total of 35. So what is 155 minus 125 minus 35? That's -5. Number 29. If the production of a good generates positive externality, the government can increase allocative efficiency by what? This one, if you do not get this one, please watch those videos on the YouTube channel. Yes, thank you so much. B. B, B, B. Okay, I don't know where can we put that tattoo? Alberto. Put it on the wrist? Okay, good. All right, here's the deal. Alberto, look, your total revenue is 155. Your total explicit cost is 125. Your total implicit cost is going to be 35, because what are you giving up? You have to give up your job, and you're not making $10,000 rent on your building. So you're giving up 35 $1,000. So all you do is total revenue minus total explicit minus total implicit. If you do the math, you get -5. 30. Which of the following is the best example of a pure public good? Yes. National defense, right? National defense is for absolutely everybody. This is the most example of pure public good. Number 31. Here we go. According to the table, which of the following must be true? Rent is implicit because you're not renting it to somebody else. You are doing it. So because you're not earning that money, right, then you're giving it up. Electricity, how could you get electricity? You need to pay for it.
Okay.
Alberto, for the positive externality or what?
Tía Tatiana, las tres.
31. 31 is B, right? Because who has the absolute advantage in manufactured goods? That would be A. All right. Now, comparative advantage is going to be a little bit. Ezra, go ahead. 30. Yeah. How can you get electricity? You need to pay for it. So it's not that one. I know it says public good, but how can you get electricity? You need to pay for it. Okay. Social Security payments. Well, how did you how do you get a Social Security payment? Well, you need to work. That's the only way you can get a Social Security payment is if you have worked, need to work to retire. So basically, not everybody gets it. Not everybody gets it. Ezra, are you listening to me? How do you get
Matthew,
electricity?
why, if it says public utility
Okay.
from everyone, no?
Ezra, how do you get electricity? You have to pay for it. Okay.
Okay, but that it says there that it's public for everyone.
Okay. Okay. All right. If I go to Panama, okay, do you think I'm going to be protected under national defense?
Yes.
Did I pay for the national defense?
No.
There we go. All right. So let's look at the comparative advantage here. Okay. So to do that, we have our countries on the left here. All right. What's the cost of one manufactured good for country A? How many service goods? All right. So we do 100 divided by 100. That's 1. So how many service goods is that? 3. How
Matthew,
many?
you don't need to do it.
Okay, you talk me through it. Go ahead.
You need to do it the comparative. You don't need to do it. Just looking on the chart, you could do it.
Well, if that works for you, great. Okay. If you did country B, you should have got 2 service goods. Yeah.
Matthew, because it tells you on 1 hour of labor. So the one who more makes, it's the one that less opportunity cost has.
Exactly, right? But how do we find the opportunity cost, right? We have to do this process.
Oh, I did it without the process.
Then you do that. If it works for you, try that. Okay. Now, how much does one service good cost for country A? Yep, there you go. So 1/3, and then for country B, it'd be 1/2. So who has the comparative advantage in service goods? And that would be country A.
Matthew, because look, it says the same number of workers. So the one that has bigger numbers is the one that have comparative advantage.
No. What did you just say? The one who does more, that is the absolute, right?
No, yes, but it tells you the same number of workers. So if they make more, it need to be that they have a comparative.
Nope. The only way you have a comparative advantage is if you have a lower opportunity cost.
Oh, so I'm obligated to do the chart.
Yes. All right, number 32. Which of the following would most likely result in a decrease in the equilibrium price of oranges? '32 would be C. New studies have a cancer-causing substance. Cancer-causing substance. For 31, country B does manufactured goods. Country B has a comparative advantage in manufactured goods. A is bigger, but opportunity cost, right, is a lower one. Now, does country A have a comparative advantage in manufactured cost? Or, Francisca, are you talking about 32? So does country A have a comparative advantage in manufactured goods? No, they have a comparative advantage in service goods because they have a lower cost. And country B has a lower opportunity cost in manufactured goods. So country B has a comparative advantage in manufactured goods. Does that make sense? 31. Look at the chart. If you do it at a lower cost, you have the comparative advantage. If we don't get there, I'll just make a YouTube video about it. Alberto, I don't have time to explain that, but basically it's just a lower opportunity cost. That's all it is, right? Who does it cheaper? Okay. 32. New studies suggest that oranges contain traces C, right? That's cancer causing. I don't want cancer. Demand down, and if demand goes down, price goes down. Ready. 33. If a severe drought destroys a significant portion of the peanut crop and peanut farmers' revenues increase, which of the following is true over the range of prices? So therefore, what's happening here? Let's see. Revenues are increasing, right? If there's a severe drought, what did that mean? Supply goes down, price goes up. So if revenues are increasing and quantity is decreasing, okay, where does that happen? Where am I decreasing quantity, but my total revenue is increasing? That has to be on the inelastic side. Right? Might think that's a great way to think about it, right? The price is going up, but you're still buying. So therefore, revenue has to go up. That's a great way to think about it. 34. Right? When we're dealing with elasticity, what always goes on top? Quantity, right? So therefore, 800 minus 400 divided by 4. Whoa, that's not right. Divided by 400. And then we would do 4 minus 8 divided by 8. If you did the math here, it would be 400 divided by 400. Wait, hold on. Am I not doing this right? New minus old divided by old.
Teacher, it's unit elastic.
Yes. It's unit elastic.
It's because it changed proportionally. It's.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. Okay.
So what are you doing?
I'm doing the math.
How? What's the math?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the math is this, right? Because whoa, sorry. Because they didn't give you a new minus old here. You need to do the average, right? They didn't tell you. Basically, it went from this to this, right? So you need to do the average, which would be the midpoint method. So that would be 606. So that would be 466. So that would be 1. Right? If you can see this as changing proportional, you are correct. C. It would be unit elastic.
Wait, I don't understand the math. I only understand the logic that it's because proportional, but I don't understand what you're doing.
Okay, then if you understand proportional, that's exactly what the formula is trying to let you know. But all we're doing is the percent change in quantity and the percent change in price. Now, we don't know new and we don't know old, because they said, hey, when it's this, it's this. When it's this, it's this. So we
I
don't
thought it
know
was
what's
I thought it was elastic, but I also was thinking that it was inelastic
okay,
because
right? So
because
since we don't know the old price and the new price, okay, does everybody see how we don't know what is new, what is old? Reading the question, it's like we don't know what is new, what is old. So therefore, we need to use the average. We need to use the midpoint method. Okay, we need to use the midpoint method. If you don't remember the midpoint method, that's okay. That's
and
gonna
the
be
midpoint method is change divided by average in quantity and also in price, right?
yep. There we go.
Oh yes.
Okay, that's the midpoint method. So what we did was we found the change in the quantity, and we divided it by the average quantity. Okay, all I did was I did 800 plus 400 divided by 2, and that gave me 600.
But which one is the yes.
Okay, so which one? So when we do this, we're gonna get. How do you find average? You do total divided by how many you have. So if you have 2 quantities, right, you're dividing by 2. Alrighty. 35. Assume that people like onions on their hamburgers. If the supply of hamburgers decreases, the demand for onions will most likely do what?
D.
D. Yep. Alberto, don't worry about it. Okay, it's just average. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
No. Average es lo sumas y los divides entre dos.
Right. So if you're adding the new and the old, there's 2 of them. So you divide it by 2. That's all we're doing there. 36. If labor is the only variable input in the production process, the short run marginal cost is upward sloping because which of the following occurs as more and more labor is added?
D.
As
D.
you add more labor, your output is increasing at a decreasing rate. Thus,
Yes.
you're having additional unit cost. Okay. 36 is D. This is what we talked about earlier, right? About why the marginal cost is upward sloping. Because your marginal product is going down, which means you are increasing at a decreasing rate. Okay, if your marginal cost is going up, this means your marginal product is going down. And if your marginal product is going down, your output is increasing at a decreasing rate. Okay. 37. At a firm's current rate of output, the marginal cost is yes.
When you increase your labor, it means that your marginal product goes down.
Yes.
But why, if you're increasing and you're doing more output?
Well, your marginal is going down, but your total is increasing. Like you are making more, but it's decreasing rate.
Okay.
All right, your marginal cost is 65. Your average variable cost is 35. Your average fixed cost is 30, and your price is 65. What would be true here? Right?
E.
E. Your profits are 0 if your price is equal to ATC. Every single time. If your price is equal to ATC, your profits are 0. We need a new location. Oh, I know, right here, right? 0 profits. Okay. No. I mean, just reading about it, right? If you read about it, profits are 0 because price equals ATC. That happens every single time. Francisca, right? Output is increasing at a decreasing rate, right? So that would mean total product is going up, but your marginal product is going down. All right. And if marginal product is going down, your cost is going up. These are moving in opposite directions. Marginal product down, marginal cost goes up. So if marginal cost is going up, your marginal product is going down. And if your marginal product is going down, you're increasing at a decreasing rate. How about now? All right, number 38. The graph above shows the short-run cost curves of a firm in a perfectly competitive market. Which of the following is true about a firm's profit maximizing level of output? What is true of the profit max? If we found our profit max, that happens where our MR equals MC. This is our quantity. So therefore, our price exceeds average total cost. Yes, because here's our average total cost. That's true. Are we making zero profits? No. Is our marginal cost equal to our average total cost? No. Okay. Is new firms are likely to enter? Yes.
Yes.
There we go. 39. Which of the following best describes an oligopolistic market? Remember, oligopoly.
Sí.
Few firms and high barriers to entry. Okay, high barriers, few firms. Now, using this matrix here, okay, we have the payoffs, okay, meaning we want the most profits here, okay. So,
B.
huh?
B.
Yes, it's going to be B. Now, how do we know it's B?
Whoa, extra, son unos papis.
All right, how do we know it's B? Well, if UA chooses 20%, what does firm B do? Firm B will either choose 150 or 250. Solly, you're good, man. Good job. Okay. So, now.
250.
Okay, all right, slow down. You got it right. Good job. Now, what if UA chooses 10%? What's better for UB? Either 50 or 100.
100.
100 is better than 50. Okay.
And
Now, if UB chooses 20%, what is better for UA? 150 or 250?
Reduce production by 10%.
250 is better. What if UB chooses 10%? What is better for UA? Is it 50 or 100? It's 100. So therefore,
they both have
the incentive to do 10%.
Yes, sir.
That's where your equilibrium is. Okay, so B. They both will do 10%. 41. In order to minimize short-run losses, a profit-maximizing firm will necessarily shut down production under the which of the following. Why do you shut down again?
D. Average variable cost bigger than your price.
There we go.
Yes, sir.
If you're wondering what is average revenue, just remember that your price is also your average revenue. Okay? So therefore, if your average revenue is less than your average variable cost, you will shut down. 42. An increase in the effective minimum wage will have less of an impact on employment if the demand is what? Basically, why are you less sensitive?
D.
Inelastic. Very good.
Yes, sir.
Less sensitive. If it has less of an impact, you are less sensitive. And if you are less sensitive, you are less elastic, which would mean more inelastic. Whoa, hello. Inelastic. So D. 43. If a firm only employs labor and capital in this production process, which of the following best describes the optimal combination of inputs for the long run?
B.
Is it B? Okay, what's the formula?
Marginal product divided by price.
Is that what B says?
Oh, no. Yes, A.
There we go. So what Solly was trying to say, and he said it correctly, was your marginal product divided by price and your marginal product divided by price. So that would be the marginal product per dollar. That's the formula there, marginal product divided by price, marginal product per dollar. And you need to be equal.
But B, the marginal product of labor is equal to the marginal product of capital.
Nope, because you need the price in there.
You need to divide it by the price, yes.
There we go.
I can't miss these ones.
All right, most economists argue that a monopoly is inefficient because why would they be inefficient?
Price bigger than...
Every time.
Yes, B.
Okay, it's not D because a monopoly does not enough. Okay. Alrighty, good job. 45. Here we go. The table above shows the distribution of income in country X in 2010 before and after tax transfer payments. Which of the following can be concluded about the
I
effect?
haven't seen this never in my life.
Well,
I
that's,
put
well,
E,
that's
but I
not
don't
true
know it a
because
lot.
that's not true because you're looking at it right now.
Yes,
It's
but
E,
my
Matthew.
first time
And
in my
you should have done this mock exam, right?
Well, no, I did the mock exam. I
All right.
mean, when I
Okay.
did the mock, this answer I never saw that before in my life.
All right, then let's see what
Matthew,
happened.
it's E.
Okay, I could. Hold on. All right, let's slow down. You're going too
If
fast
it's
for me.
E, I'm the goat.
Alrighty. So basically, what happened here? Looking at before, looking at after. Like, what's the biggest change that happened?
E.
Yes. Basically, what happened here
Well,
is the high income, the highest 20%, the high income. What happened to them? We have less of those, right? We went from 50 to 43. So we have less high income and more low income, right? So what did that mean? That means that most of the transfer of income went from the highest to the lowest. All right? You have less high income and more low income. If you're
can you
looking at the
explain
numbers
what's
here,
happening? I don't understand. What is this?
okay, here we go. You had one person who had low income. Now you have 5 people who have low income, right? So you have more people that are having low income, and you had 50 people with high income, and now you have 43 people with a high income. So you have less people with a high income and more people with a low income. So you are having a more equal distribution.
Okay, but what's that after tax and transfer? What's happening? Can you explain me? What is this?
Okay, remember how we get more equal? We do progressive taxes,
Okay,
right?
I know, but what does this mean? Before tax and transfers 1.1, what's that? The money of what?
Ezra,
Who gains that?
Ezra, I invite you to, like, when you ask me a question, to let me finish my answer. That because I'm gonna answer your question. All right, I just need you to slow down a little bit, and I'll get to your answer. Okay. So so we have the progressive taxes, right? Which means that you pay your taxes, which means you have your income, you pay taxes, so you're reducing your income, right? So that's what's happening here. After taxes, you reduce your income for the high income people. All right? So that's exactly what's happening here. Is you have a less income and that money went to the lower income. So we have we were here and now we're here. So we're more equal. The majority of the transfer of income went from the highest to the lowest. Go ahead. Wait, what do you mean? Why you're having why is it going down after taxes or what? Okay, look, because you're having taxes, right? You're using that tax money from the rich and you're giving it to the poor. So you're taking the income from the rich and giving it to the poor. So you have less high income people and you have more people with low income. So that's what's happening here. You're having less people with high income, more people with low income. And this happened because you took the income from the highest and you gave it to the lowest income. That's what's happening here. And you did that through
So,
taxes.
so there's more people with high income. No, less people with high income and more people with low income.
Thank you. Yes, that's it.
More people with low income.
Okay, 46. After graduating from high school, Peggy Smith decided to enroll in a 2-year program at a local community college rather than accept a job that paid her $12,000. If the annual tuition is $4,600, the cost of going to college is what? So here's the deal: if she goes to college, she pays this, and she's giving up $12,000. So her total cost is D. The cost of going to college is $16,000. You will be adding those. Which of the following situations is a good, not scarce? It's going to be A, right? Because if you give up nothing, right, then it's not scarce. Scarcity means that it has a price of it. Okay, meaning you could, the reason we have a price on something is because, yes, so if there's a lot in the market, yeah, you're right, but you still have to pay a price of it. Okay, so yeah, all resources are scarce because in order to consume them, it costs you something, right? If I were to have more t-shirts, right, I'm losing shoes. If I wanted to sleep more, I'm losing income. If I wanted to do something, right, it's costing me something. So that's why scarcity is happening, because I'm giving up something. Now, if I give up nothing, right, then it's not scarce. This is not really a budget constraint question. Scarcity is saying that basically there's a change, a difference in the demand and the supply, like your benefits and your cost here. And because of that, that's why you have to give something up. You have to pay something, it costs you money, something like that because of scarcity. But if it doesn't give up anything, it's free, so it's not scarce. Are you giving up something to consume it? You're giving up something to consume it, so it is scarce. That's the whole point. Is if you have to give up something, it is scarce. Because if it was free, like if it was actually absolutely free, right? Then it's no big deal, right? It's not scarce because it's free. Like you have it, it doesn't cost you anything. But scarcity means that you could run out. Okay? And if you were trying to consume food, right? You could run out of food. You can buy as much food as you want, right? But that does come at a cost. You could run out of food or something. So scarcity. But if you give up nothing in return, that's not scarcity. No, you're always giving up something. Most of the time, it's time. You always give up your time. Time is the most scarce resource. 48. Suppose that the market supply curve for shoes is upward sloping and the demand curve is downward sloping. How will the imposition of a tax affect the consumer, producer, and total surplus? So, looking at the graph here, this is your consumer surplus. This is your producer surplus, right? So your consumer surplus is decreasing. Your producer surplus is decreasing. And why does your total surplus decrease? Your total surplus decreases
Because your consumer and producer decrease.
no, actually, it's because you have
Oh,
dead weight loss. That's why your total surplus decreases.
Matthew, why producer surplus why would decrease if
What happened to your price that you receive?
decrease? But look the area.
Okay, all right, yeah. You want me to draw the area for you? This is what happened before, and look at now.
Yes, and now
It decreased.
instead of having that little triangle, now we have more. Look,
Okay, no, you have a tax.
okay. So look the
I'm looking.
little triangle with purple.
Uh-huh.
Instead of having that, you have now a big square.
Okay, no.
It
Okay.
depends how you put the supply.
Here's the deal. If I have no tax, that's my producer surplus. If I have a
Yeah.
tax, this is the price I'm receiving. So this is my producer surplus. See how it
Oh,
decreased?
oh, that's my producer surplus. It's
Yes.
not. It's not to. It's not to. It's not be to the supply.
It is. This is your supply curve, and that's your price. So it's everything in this area right here.
Oh, and what's that square in the middle of consumer surplus and producer surplus?
Anybody got the answer to that one?
Tax
There we
revenue.
go.
Tax from tax. Okay, easy.
49. At her current level of consumption, a consumer is willing to pay $150 for a bottle of water and $1,500 for a diamond ring because yes, right. The only reason you would buy something is because your benefit is that high, so your margin utility is less than the diamond ring.
And why not total utility? Just to know.
So anytime you're trying to buy one thing, right, you need to be looking at the marginal.
Okay, and can you show me the graph of the consumer surplus? 1 second to take a picture.
It's everything below demand and above price.
So the producer surplus now it's where? Can you show me like how you get the producer surplus after the tax?
Sure thing. So, whoa. So here's your price in the market. Okay. Here's your price, and here's your supply curve. So it's everything below price and above supply. 48
Wait,
is A.
above supply. Wait. I can see it. Supply. What?
Here's your demand, here's your supply with the tax. Okay.
Yes.
All right, here's your consumer price, here's your producer price. So this
Oh yeah,
area right
because
here.
there's the supply. Okay, yeah,
There
for
we
sure.
go. So this is your producer surplus. All right, 50. If a firm's production process exhibits economies of scale, which of the following will occur if output increases? Yep. Easy money. Easy. Okay. 51. Which of the following helps explain why the demand curve for a normal good is downward sloping? Okay, downward sloping meaning at higher prices you're doing less. Okay, at higher prices you're buying less things. So it would be A. The income effect says this. At higher prices, your purchasing power goes down. If your purchasing power goes down, can you buy more stuff or less stuff? You can buy less. The substitution effect says, whoa, hello. That's the income effect. The substitution effect says if the price of X goes up, right?
The quantity demand goes down.
Quantity demand goes down. So why? Do you buy more of another good, right?
Yes.
Exactly. That's the substitution effect.
Same as substitutes.
Okay.
Can you go just a little to take a picture? I didn't take a picture of the new one. Yes, that one. Good. Thank you. Yeah, good.
Alrighty. 52. The graph above shows the total revenue, total cost curves in which type of market structure, and what is the profit max quantity? Well, what would be profit max?
Q2.
Okay, why
It's
Q?
marginal revenue equals marginal cost.
Okay, right. That's true. But if you look at the graph here,
It's Q4.
hold on. Go back to what the rule is, right? Which is MR equals MC. Okay. But what are your curves here?
Upward sloping.
They're total. not marginal.
So
Holy
what
moly.
you should do?
Okay, so your marginal, right, basically is the slope of the line. Meaning, does your look at your total revenue? Okay, is your total revenue changing?
No, it's constant.
It's constant. So if we say constant, your marginal revenue, does it change?
No, I got it incorrectly. So it's perfect competition.
It is perfect competition. Now, you're trying to do MR equals MC, right? So that would happen.
Yes, Q4 E.
It's E. Tell me it's E.
It's not E because look, you're doing total in total. That's not the formula.
So
Okay.
tell me when. How?
The formula is wherever you're having the greatest profit area. That would be where your marginal revenue, which is the slope of this line, is equal to the slope of this line. That's your marginal revenue and your marginal cost. So when those lines are the same,
What?
Matthew, but we didn't learn this.
no.
And in the
Yes, I
exam,
do.
we could ask,
We didn't learn
they
this,
could
and
ask
we also
this.
didn't learn the 45.
How about this? Okay. How about this? What's the formula for profit again?
Profit.
Yep. Profit
Price,
is
price price minus ATC times quantity.
okay, and it's also total revenue minus total cost, right?
Okay.
Okay, profit max would be what? The biggest.
Marginal revenue, marginal cost.
That's true too, right? But it would also be like the biggest area, right? So what's your profit right there?
Don't know.
Actually, you do, right? Because is your total cost the same as your total revenue?
No.
Yes, it is.
My
Oh,
profit
there,
is
yes.
revenue minus total cost here. Last time was explicit cost minus implicit cost minus total cost.
Yeah, I know.
That's economic profit.
Everything changes. Okay, now here we go. All right, at that point there, your profits are zero, right? So where would you earn the most profits? Q2, Q3, or Q4?
Q3.
Q3, right? Because here's your total revenue, and here's your total cost. And that point right there, your total revenue is greater than your total cost. Okay? So perfect competition because your MR is constant, and it's Q3 because your total revenue is greater than your total cost. There we go. Right? Q2 and Q4 have profits that are zero. So the most profit happens at Q3. Okay. 53. If total revenue is increasing, if output increases. Oh, okay, we know that one. As you make more output and your revenue is increasing, marginal revenue is. Well, that's not true. Because if it's less than average revenue and marginal revenue is negative, right? That doesn't make sense. But if total revenue is increasing, marginal revenue has to be positive. If marginal revenue is positive, then total revenue is increasing.
What?
If marginal revenue is positive, total revenue is increasing.
Why it's not equal to average revenue?
Well, because if your marginal revenue is equal to average revenue, that means your marginal revenue is equal to price, right? And so,
Yeah.
right? And so that would be this situation, right? And here, your margin revenue is the same, right? And if your margin revenue is the same, let's see here. Wait, no, okay, wait, hold on. Average revenue. Oh,
Didn't
okay.
get
Oh,
it.
I know this one now. I know it now. Here we go. So, for a monopoly, your demand is also your average revenue. Okay. You ready?
That's why I put equal to average revenue.
Okay. So,
No way. I don't understand. I don't
Okay,
understand
okay, all
this.
right, okay. You know what? Let's go back. Let's just go back, okay? What is marginal revenue? Marginal revenue is the change in total revenue divided by the change in quantity, right? Marginal is the change. Marginal revenue is the change in the total revenue. Okay? If total revenue is increasing, okay, right, that would mean that your marginal revenue is positive or negative.
Positive.
There we go.
Okay, can you explain me like
Why it's not
another
A?
like yes.
It's not A because it has to be greater than 0. Like that is always, like that's the only way it could be increasing is when it's greater
So
than
when
0.
it always says when total revenue is increasing and output increase, your marginal revenue it will be always greater than 0.
Yes, that is why total revenue is increasing. Your total revenue is not increasing because it's equal to average revenue. That's not the case. Your total revenue is increasing because your
Because
marginal
marginal
revenue is
revenue is
positive.
bigger than 0.
That
Oh,
is why.
if total revenue is increasing as output increase, then marginal revenue is always higher. But what happens if output is decreasing and total revenue is increasing? It's impossible.
Well, no, that's not impossible, but that would mean that your marginal revenue is negative.
So if it says total revenue is increasing and output is decreasing, marginal revenue is negative, so it would be decreasing.
It will be D.
Yeah, if it were flipped around. Well, I mean, in that case, it would have to be negative, less than 0. Yep.
So two, total revenue increase, output increase greater than 0.
There we go. Positive.
And if it increase is less than 0, not increasing or decreasing, right?
If total revenue is increasing but quantity is decreasing, marginal revenue is negative.
Okay. Never is increasing, decreasing. It's greater than 0 or less.
Answer is E.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Sheesh.
It's not C because increasing means that it's greater than 0, right? That is why it's increasing. It's increasing because it's positive, not because it's increasing, but because it's positive. Now, if it was increasing, that would mean you're making more revenue faster. But remember, you're increasing at a decreasing rate. So your margin revenue is actually decreasing, but you're still increasing your total revenue. So as long as your margin revenue is positive, you're making more total revenue. All right, in a monopolistic, which of the following is true for a long-run equilibrium?
Let me see, please.
Matthew, please see.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh,
Remember, long-run equilibrium. Price equals ATC, right? So that was this arm. MR equals MC is this arm, right? And then, because it's monopolistic, right, here's your marginal cost and here's your price. Your price is more than your marginal cost. 55. In a perfectly competitive free market economy, a wage gap between two workers can be explained by differences in all the following except their their taste for luxury goods.
yes.
Very nice. 56. Firm XYZ produces and sells corn in a perfectly competitive market and hires workers in a perfectly competitive labor market. Which of the following best describes the demand for corn and the demand curve for labor?
B.
B.
Sheesh.
Right, because it's perfect competitive. Your demand curve is horizontal, but your
Why
demand
not
curve,
they?
your demand curve for labor, remember, is your MRP, which is downward sloping.
Downward sloping because every time you do less marginal product, you
Oh,
higher.
yes, yes.
There we go. 57. A monopolistically competitive firm advertises in order to what? You want to.
See.
No, you don't want to be more similar, right? You want to basically, you want people to buy your thing, right? You want to be.
So decrease the price.
No. B.
Sheesh.
Right? You want people to like really want to buy your product. You want them to only buy yours, so basically make them more inelastic.
Well, it can be D.
Increase its positive externalities. That's not why you're advertising, right? Remember, the positive externalities is when you produce something, but that's not why you advertise.
58D.
So why it's B?
It's B.
Matthew,
Why?
58, it's not D. I need to get a tattoo.
Okay. All right. 58. Profit maximization should hire up to. All right. When do you hire? You hire at MRP equals MFC.
So no tattoo.
Okay. 59. Social optimal. Social optimal would be MSB equals MSC. Boom. So that would be. Whoa, hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong one. Right
No,
here.
C.
it's
Right.
C, right?
Yep,
B,
it
B, B.
is Q2. All right, and then the per unit tax would be P3, P1. So that would be
What?
D.
Why the price is P3 and P1 and it's not P2 and P3?
All right, MSB, MSC, MSB, MSC. That happens right here.
Okay.
That happens at quantity 2. Okay, and this is the price of consumers, and this is the price of producers. So the difference here is the
Oh.
tax.
Okay, and why not P2 if we are first in P2 and that was the price of producers?
Okay, well, because of the social optimal. Social optimal happens where MSC equals MSB. So look at where they're intersecting, at the blue dot. That happens at Q2.
Okay, no. But first, when we were not in the social optimal, what was the producer price? P2.
Yeah,
So when we went to social optimal, then why it's not P2, why it's P1?
because, right, that is your supply curve. Is the private cost of that is at that quantity, right? Your cost to do that quantity is P1. So that is your producer price is P1 because that is what at that quantity that's your cost is P1, right? So that's your private cost, P1. Watch the video on YouTube if you need a question, if you have another question about that, okay?
Okay.
Given the position of the marginal social cost curve, one can conclude that, okay, all right, marginal social cost is higher, so therefore it is a negative externality.
B. Yes.
Okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna lose your call. I'm gonna create a new link.
Matthew, I need to talk with you 1 second.
Okay. All right. Okay. Meet me in the backup call. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye.